And we're live now. Okay, so hey, guys, it is Old Man G here, back again with another Red Devil Studio live podcast. I'm joined today again by weekly. Ooh, who's that? Is that me? Sorry, that's me. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm joined. Sorry, by Josh, Shawnee, and Footy Live. Just shout out, guys.
G'day.
Yo.
Awesome. Okay.
Yo.
We've got a lot to talk about. But I think first thing, let's just get straight into it, to be honest. And we'll start with Shawnee, obviously, because you're the Liverpool fan. Liverpool defeated. Liverpool's unbeaten run, as everyone knows, came to an end this weekend, where they were beaten quite comprehensively by Watford, 3-0. Let me say 2 seconds. 3-0 by Watford, obviously away. And it brings Liverpool's undefeated run to an end. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, first of all, well done to Watford, because they played a really, really good game. They pretty much beat us every inch of blade of grass. They were better than us. They beat us in defence. They beat us in midfield. They beat us in attack. So very, very full credit to Watford for probably playing the best game that they've maybe ever played. So and for Liverpool, absolute fantastic response by them at the end of the game, just like saying that, we just weren't good enough. There was no excuses. There was no blames on the ref or something like that. It was just full on. We just weren't at our normal standards. We weren't good enough. What's important now is how they respond after this against Bournemouth and on the weekend.
Do you think that, before I obviously open up to everybody else, do you think that because it seems that Liverpool after the winter break have sort of gotten worse almost. Do you think that this winter break has actually affected Liverpool as a football team? What's been going on with that?
Absolutely, it's 100%. I think everyone can see that we were better before the break happened than we were afterwards. It's just it's one of them things that we have to deal with, though. They are going to bring in winter breaks. I personally think it's the correct thing to do. We need to rest the players. We need to have them. We can't just have them just constantly playing us when injuries happen and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay.
So I personally think that they should be allowed to have a winter break a little earlier, like through Christmas. I know it will never happen though because they make way too much money. But I think that's more than fine to do that. But it has sort of thrown Liverpool off a little bit. But the thing is even Klopp wanted a winter break. Because he's used to it. He's used to it having the winter break over in Germany. So. It's once again, it's just not an excuse. We can't say, oh, we don't want a winter break anymore because it didn't do us any good. It's just you're just gonna have to accept it now. Kind of like how people are just gonna have to accept VAR. It's just gonna be here now. Just once again, great response by every single individual Liverpool lad. Every individual Liverpool player just basically saying, listen, we just weren't on it. There's no one but to blame but ourselves. We'll be better next time. That's it.
Okay. Actually, quick response to that, Josh. Obviously, the fact that Liverpool obviously lost shows that they won't go invincible for this season. There were a lot of Arsenal fans on Twitter who were celebrating the fact that obviously Wenger's invincible.
It wasn't just Arsenal fans.
It wasn't just Arsenal fans. You're right. You're right.
I saw the memes.
There was a lot of activity going on. So I mean, as an Arsenal fan, given that obviously the unbeaten run is obviously still intact, what do you think about this Liverpool performance? What do you think about? I guess the other question you could argue is also, how much does this even make what Arsene Wenger did so well? I guess amazing, if that makes any sense, because obviously even at this amazing Liverpool side, which you could argue is potentially even better than Invincible side, still was not able to go unbeaten. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think To be honest, I didn't think they were going to go undefeated. In hindsight, you can say that, but Premier League's a lot harder than it was back then. There's too many teams Watford, since they sacked their manager, have been doing so well. I think the only team they lost to was Liverpool, from what I remember.
No, we beat Watford United.
Was that after the new manager?
That was after new. Yeah, that was the last game before the previous one.
Right, I see. Well, Sal wasn't playing, so you know how it is.
But maybe.
Yeah, well, he's incredible, by the way. He's like maybe arguably one of the best young talents in the Premier League. When he got injured, Watford had drawn quite a few games actually. Very good player. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, they've done so much, and it doesn't really. It's different because obviously people are bantering them and things like that, but it doesn't put a stain on anything. They've played a lot of games, gone through a lot of stuff, and they're still so many points ahead of everybody else. It doesn't really mean anything, but fair play. I think at the end of the day, fair play to Watford. They had an amazing game plan. I mean, everybody does tend to park the bus against Liverpool, which is it's a bit boring to watch. But if you get that early goal, I mean, they didn't. After that early goal, they pressed really, really high, and a few Liverpool mistakes. So, yeah, but like I said, it doesn't put a stain on Liverpool season.
Is there? I mean,
by the way,
sorry.
Losing 2-0.
2-0, yeah. So I was going to just mention this just before I bring Footy Live into discussion. Shawnee, like, is this? I think before we go on, because obviously, as Joshua said, Liverpool are clearly going to win the Premier League. There's no issue with that. So as a Liverpool fan here, there's no denying, that's going to happen. So, but are you not maybe a bit concerned that, given obviously you lost against Athletic Madrid away, then lost against obviously Watford away. Now currently losing, to Chelsea. These are obviously three different competitions: Premier League, Champions League, and the Cup. Going into obviously the Atletico Madrid game, a Liverpool side that looks like they look quite tired, to be honest, despite the fact they've had a break. Would you be a bit concerned for Atletico Madrid, which makes sense? Because there seems to be a pattern of Liverpool's play where they don't seem to have many ideas. They don't seem to be able to break teams down, So what's going on?
Well, we did have ideas. It's not like we weren't like, because we were blowing teams like Leicester away. So it's not like that we were always short of ideas. We always played really, really great football throughout this whole season. It's just right now that we're just like in a little bit of a dip, But it's amazing that it's such a big deal. That's the standard Liverpool set. It's such a massive deal. It just shows the quality that Liverpool have, and everyone is aspiring to be like Liverpool. That's such a massive shock that we're losing a couple of games. So it's just one of them things where I don't think that's going to last forever. I don't think all of a sudden, just because of a winter break, we've become awful at football.
No. Yeah, I just think it's more like, as a Liverpool fan, are you not a bit concerned with the upcoming Atletico Madrid game at Anfield? Okay, I guess to be fair, you could argue the last three games, all of them have been away from home. So obviously Chelsea is away from home. Also, all these are away from home games. So you could argue they're away from home. Atletico Madrid coming to Anfield is obviously at home. But I just don't know, with the mojo there, like Atletico Madrid being a very defensive team and obviously having something to defend, would you not be a little bit concerned about Atletico Madrid coming to Liverpool?
The best thing that can happen to this season is that we win the Premiership, and anything else after that is a bonus. If we get knocked out of the Champions League and the FA Cup in 2 consecutive weeks, then so be it. And then we just like refocus ourselves on the Premiership, because I think getting the Premier League under our belt is the number one most important thing that we can really do, and just stay calm about it. Am I concerned about Atletico? I mean, if they want to come to Anfield and play like Watford did in a Champions League game, and Liverpool are just looking to break them down, which is probably the right thing to do because we're just in a poor run of form right now. Then go for it, but they'll just get knocked out by the next team, because it's one of them things where it's like, okay, you beat a Liverpool side that's out of form, but you can't do that to other teams. You can't sit back. You can't sit back against someone like Bayern Munich and play like that. Bayern Munich are just, in fact, Bayern Munich have picked up their form, and they'll punish you. Even someone like Dortmund would. It's just that, like I say, Liverpool have just set this bar, this massive standard, and everyone in the Premier League is just like going, "Oh my goodness, look at Liverpool," because we've just absolutely aced this season. So it's just like a massive shock. It's not that shocking to me. I wasn't like, at the beginning of the season, I wasn't like thinking. I even said on the first podcast, I was like going, what do you say to the Liverpool lads? Do you just say let's just go undefeated, like let's not lose this season? I wasn't expecting it right from the word go. I just knew that we were in a good run of form. I actually think that that Klopp is got a massive role to play now. So he can really settle them down. He knows his football wisdom can come into play here, and he knows that he's going to have to rally them, settle them down a little bit, gel them all back together again, and then go. I mean, this Chelsea game, we've made 8 changes. There's barely anybody on that was playing.
What's Klopp? Well, before I ask you about those changes, because I was very surprised that he made all those changes in this game. 30 Live, you there? Tom, 30 Live, you there? Okay, if you're there, I can't hear you. Okay, right, okay. So I'll go back to Shawnee. Sorry.
Yeah.
Would you think he was right to make those changes?
I mean, once again, I'm not massively fussed on the FA Cup because FA Cup is something that we have won before. I've never seen Liverpool win the Premiership. I think the last time Liverpool won the league was when I was 4. So I didn't really care back then. I was just glad that my dad was happy about something. I didn't know what. I was just like, oh, my dad's happy. He bought me a new toy, and it's kind of like that. So for me to actually see them win the Premiership. And the quality isn't going to dip, I don't think. It's just that there's a temporary glitch right now where whether it's the winter break or like we've fallen a little bit tired, whatever it is, it's going to come back, and we're gonna do, I reckon, some good business in the summer as well. We're going to go from strength to strength. I feel really good. I feel really positive. I know that right now we're in a blip, but I've been a Liverpool fan, all my life. I've been through the bad, and the bad, and now just recently from the 2000s onwards, we started to pick things up. So like I'm just like made up. I've been it's been brilliant to watch Liverpool over these last sort of 10 years. It was just to sort of see their rise has just been an honour. So. Again, a loss to Watford. It looks like it's going to be a loss to Chelsea today. Okay, so be it. Let's just realign ourselves for Bournemouth, get the Premiership wrapped up, and then we can have a little look at Champions League if we're still in it.
Okay, fair enough. I was going. Pretty Live, you there, mate? Pretty Live? No, okay, I'm still away. Okay, fine.
Got his hand on it.
That's it. Okay. So last thing before we move on, topic wise, because we obviously we've obviously spoken then about Liverpool, and thank you, Sean, for giving obviously Liverpool perspective on the whole thing. Because our next obviously topic, we're going to be talking about top 4 and all the rest of it. I think that I think there needs to be a conversation as to how does this Liverpool team, obviously they've been defeated, but how does the Liverpool team rank currently in the Premier League era? Is this, they're being held obviously to such a high standard, but will this Liverpool team, when the season is done, considering how many points they won the Premier League by, will this Liverpool team for this season be held as one of the best Premier League teams. So I'll open that up before we move on. What do you think about that, Josh?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, I think if they win the league, they will surpass the Invincibles points tally, and that is, that was a team which didn't lose a game, which is pretty incredible. And I mean, I'm sure once. I mean, they haven't actually had a game at Anfield for as long as I can remember. I think they kind of need to. I mean, they don't lose at Anfield, so the last time was against Palace, I think, or West Brom, one of those in the FA Cup or something like that. Can't even remember.
Anfield, it was in the league against Crystal Palace in 2017.
That's the one. So that was a long time ago, and I think they kind of just need to get back to that, get back to Anfield and just feel the atmosphere, feel the crowd again, and they'll get back to winning ways. And I think they can win They need 5 more wins, I think, to win the league before it's over, which is crazy.
Yeah, although obviously it's assuming that City don't lose any games and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this team is absolutely will go down in history as one of the best. No one can deny that. And I mean, anything that's happening now shouldn't put a stain on that. Man United team, which won the treble last games. Man City team, which got 100+ points. Was it 100+? 100 and something?
They got 100. They got 101, I think. Man City.
Yeah, they lost. Well, they lost to Liverpool. So it's people lose games at the end of the day, unless you're the Invincibles, obviously. But yeah,
had to get that in.
There's no denying it, and it's not. What makes it even more impressive, it's not a checkbook team as well. Lallana's not too happy. Anyway, it's not a checkbook team in any stretch of form. They've promoted academy players. They've got plenty of English players in their team. They've done great business. So yeah, that makes it even more impressive to me. It kind of reminds you of that Man United team in a way. The treble in some regards, you didn't spend. I mean, that was the Nicky Butts and Scholes and people like that. So that's my opinion anyway. There's a bit of a static noise. I don't know what that's coming from. But.
Is that coming fully live? Are you there? Fully live?
Hello?
Yeah, anyway.
Said you're back.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
hello.
we can hear you. Are you there, mate?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Okay. So just a quick. So we're just going to change topics, but just what's your just quick view on the Liverpool defeat at the weekend?
Well, I watched parts of the game because we were busy with some of my schoolwork and that. But from what I watched at second half, it looked as if Liverpool just dropped off a bit more. They weren't playing, say, as fluently as they have been. Because normally when they have a lot of options with, say, midfielders and that, they can switch it all up, and by doing that, they can switch tactics. But because of some injuries that they've had with, say, Henderson and that, I think it makes the selections a lot harder, and that's why they're getting linked with, say, a lot more, say, attacking players. It's you've Timo Werner and Sancho and that, because I think they need them because of some of the injuries that they've been getting this season. So, but all in all, I think Watford played well to stay. They're in a relegation fight, and I think they showed that with football, you can't predict it.
No,
yeah, I think that's another good point. Henderson being injured has been a huge loss. Nobody
would have predicted Liverpool. People would have predicted, or better say, Liverpool win their win 3-4-0 because of the massive difference between the teams. But like I said, in football, you never write anybody off.
Yeah.
No. Fair enough. That is definitely fair enough. I know there'll be a lot of Chelsea fans happy today after looking at this result.
I'm not even being funny either. I'm watching some game now and everything, and both teams are putting out strong lineups. So I wouldn't say it's unfair. You've still got players like Robertson and Van Dijk and everybody playing. So.
And there's also the fact that other teams obviously have well, I obviously accept Josh's point that Henderson has been injured. You look at Spurs, they've had Kane and Son injured. United with Pogba and Rashford and all the rest of it. So almost every team around the top 4 or 5 or 6 has had key injured players that have been out, for the season, So it's obviously how you manage and deal with that, which is the thing. So that's fair. That's fair enough. Okay, so we're just going to quickly get into our next topic, to just talk about briefly. Maybe the next 10 15 minutes or so, and that's basically who gets top four. This weekend is a sort of a semi-review of obviously the weekend results, but obviously, Wolves obviously beat Spurs, which obviously hindered Spurs and put Wolves in the top four competition. Chelsea dropped points against Bournemouth. United obviously dropped points against Everton. City and Arsenal obviously weren't playing because of the Carabao Cup final. But I think the debate here is, and I'm just getting the table up on my phone. Give me 2 seconds to get the Premier League table up. 1 second, everybody. I've got it. Right. Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So obviously Liverpool have 79 points. City have second on 57. Leicester City obviously with 50 points. Only now 5 points ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea are fourth on 45 points. United obviously fifth on 42 points. Now this is where it gets in. What's really interesting with Chelsea in 45, but United obviously have 42 points in fifth. Wolves in sixth have 42 points. Spurs in seventh with 40 points. Sheffield United eighth with 40 points with a game in hand. Burnley ninth with 38 points. And then Arsenal 10th with 37 points, although we have a game in hand. So realistically, and then Everton underneath them 11th with 37 points. So realistically, anyone from, you could argue, 10th or even 11th to 4th or 3rd could get top four. And I'll open it around because I'll go around everyone to see who you think will actually get top four and why. And then we'll move to the next segment. So I'll start with Shawnee first. Aside from the obvious, which Liverpool obviously get top four, I think they've already qualified for the Champions League already. Who else do you think will get top four? Obviously, there is the whole thing with Man City's, potential ban thing. So possibly it could be a top five. We don't know that yet, and that's still a work in progress. But assuming that City's ban will, I hope they do too, Puddy. I hope they do too.
It looks is what I'm saying.
Sorry, say that again. You caught up a bit.
Look,
your microphone is mad.
City went to the arbitration of sport.
Yeah.
And they put the appeal in and everything.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard with reports and everything, it looks as if they're going to get it overturned. Apparently, 50% of it's already been agreed that it should be overturned. So it's either going to be they'll get banned for a year or it'll get completely thrown out.
Yeah, that's
from what I've heard. It's not going to be a 2-year ban at all.
Yeah, I had a feeling about that. Like I never believed that this was going to be a full 2-year ban thing. I thought at best they were going to get banned for a year, which obviously would still mean that 5th place of the season would work. But at worst, most likely is that the whole thing will be overturned. But thanks for the update. So that's why I think let's just talk regarding just the top four anyway. Shawnee, do you want to start?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I think obviously Liverpool has cemented the place. I also think City. I think you can't really rule City out. It's just that I think that game in hand that they've got, they're going to win. The two places that look suspect to me, potential 3 places depending on what happens to Man City, is maybe Leicester and Chelsea. They're the ones because Leicester are doing terribly right now. I think they've only got 1 win in 5. So that's shocking run of form for a top 4, really. And Chelsea exactly the same, 1 win in 5. That's terrible. That's really, that's teams that have 1 wins and 5 are like hovering around 17th and 16th place. But that's where you're sort of looking at 1 and 5 wins. So just terrible form from Leicester and Chelsea at the moment. Chelsea are the ones that can have the most excuse, I think, because you've got Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abraham, all these people that could have an impact on the team. They're all out. So it's that fourth and third spot. I think Man United really are picking up their run of form at the moment. And you saw seem to instantly gelled, having like an instant impact, which I could say it's maybe not a rarity, but I definitely think that it's nice to see whoever it is that you buy making instant impacts. So Fernandez, just a great buy by United. Definitely better than Chelsea at the minute, and definitely better than Leicester. So it just so Wolves, Tottenham, Spurs, Sheffield. I can't see someone like Burnley being in the Champions League useless. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know, it's just you can't. Teams will break Burnley down like quite easily, I think. And once again, it's like Everton. I mean, Everton are on the same points as Arsenal, so I suppose you could like say top 11. I mean, Arsenal are doing brilliantly under Arteta. I just don't know whether they need a summer to do some good business to actually get up into that top 4 again, because it's still not. They're still not like smashing wins out. It's still you know, they got knocked out by Olympiacos. They had like 3 draws and 2 wins in their last 5 games. So they're doing better, but
who would be your let's just say from the end of the season, who would be your team? Who would be the 4 teams that you think will finish top 4 come the end of the season?
Okay, Liverpool, City, if they're in it. You know, I'm just talking about top 4. Whether they're going to be in the Champions League or not is you know, yet to be decided. But Liverpool, City.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with. This is tough. Liverpool, City. Do I keep Chelsea in? I don't know, because I just Leicester do have a 7 goal cushion from United. Can they lose that by the time the end of the season? Can Brendan Rodgers turn them around? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll say that they're also going through a bit of a blip and they're going to pick it up. I'll keep Leicester in there. So Leicester stay in the Champions League. Chelsea, I don't know. There's just too many injuries for them. I think they're just not on a good run. I don't know what Lampard can do there. So I'd like to see Wolves stay in Europe. I don't know whether Tottenham have got it in them. So I'm going to go United take Chelsea's place and maybe Wolves go up into 5th. So Chelsea ended up in 6th place.
Okay.
That's it. That's my top 4. So Liverpool, City, Leicester City, United, and then Wolves staying in Europe, which is good, I think, because they've done fantastically. I mean, let's be honest. What a brilliant performance by Wolves in the Europa.
Okay, fair enough. Joshy, before I say mine, go for it.
Liverpool, City, Leicester, Wolves, I think.
Liverpool, City, Leicester, Wolves. Okay, so what's your reasoning for Leicester, Wolves?
I just think Leicester, they've got a very good amount of points, and I think Vardy's he's tired. He's just had a baby and stuff, so I think once he's regained his form, they'll start scoring a bit more. I think I like seeing him and Iniacho up front. I think they play better like that, because if Vardy doesn't score, sometimes it's hard for goals to be in the team. But I think when Vardy starts banging in goals again, they'll be all right. Get back to winning ways. They've already had some big wins this season. But yeah, and Wolves have that. What I like about them, they have that kind of like never say die attitude. That game against Tottenham, not only were they behind, but they just Jota, who hadn't been that great at the start of the season. I think he hadn't been great, and then he got injured, I believe. Ever since he's come back and Ever since he's come back and started playing well, the Wolves have looked almost unstoppable. You've got Traore, just keeps going. Jimenez, arguably, like for me, in terms of form, I would say like top 3 strikers in the league. for me. And like, if he had a couple more seasons, he could like solidify that spot because he's like he reminds me a bit like Diego Costa without the like like shared housery, you know. Like he's there's something about him. Like he's strong. He's quick enough like to get away from defenders, if that makes sense. His dribbling is fantastic. His heading, and he never stops. Never stops working. So I think they have more than the teams below them. Like I said, Spurs are so without Son and Kane, they can't win games. And Arsenal, I don't think. I don't want Arsenal to finish in like a European spot like Europa League, and I think top 4 is too far off. So Sheffield is still up there, but I don't think they have enough. But yeah, that's what I got.
Fine. Okay. Before I say my bit, because I'm going to sorry. Go ahead. Footy Live, you there? Footy Live, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, lads.
You're there. Okay, cool. Yeah. So just your picks for top 4. Although I guess this is really more like who finishes 3rd or 4th, and why. Oh, hello. You there still? We can't hear you.
I think there's something up with his mic.
Okay, must be something up with your mic. Right. Okay. Let me know in the comments, mate. Right. Okay. I'll just make a file. Right. Okay. So let me just quickly say my spiel. Okay, and then we move on. I'm going to go gun ho here and say that Leicester and Chelsea will drop out, and there might be a Wolves and Watford potentially. Obviously Wolves and Watford are Wolves and United. Sorry. Obviously,
Watford have got a long way to go.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why Watford came out. Wolves, they were supposed to say Wolves and United. My big thing for me for Leicester is I look at the last last 7 games, and Leicester actually have quite a difficult last run of games. So if you look at like their last 7 games, because obviously they're key, Leicester have to go and play, because even though they've got their given their run of form now, and they could pick it up if assuming Vardy comes back. But even so, you look at this run. Like, listen to this. Like, they have Everton away, so Everton goes, which is not going to be an easy game. Then they have Crystal Palace at home. Then they have Arsenal away. Then they have Arsenal away. Then they have Bournemouth away. Then they have Sheffield United at home. Then they have Spurs away, and then they have Then they have United at home. Now that last 7 games is not easy. I mean, aside from possibly Bournemouth, who given the fact that will still be battling relegation, I think the only easy game out of those last 7 is probably Crystal Palace, because by then they probably survived, so they won't care. But all those other teams there that you can see, like I said, will be very, very tough games. And I could easily see out of those 7 them losing 3 of them. They could lose to United. They could lose to Sheffield United. They could lose to Everton. They could lose to Arsenal. And suddenly that's 12 points. You know what I mean? So I just think until they get a run of form, and obviously Ndidi not being there helps. I don't know when Ndidi is coming back. Does anyone know when Ndidi is coming back? I'm not.
No.
And obviously Vardy, there's the strike man. Okay. I just think Telber, shout out to you, man. Unlucky about the loss in the comments. Shout out to you in the comments, Telber. Unlucky about the Liverpool loss. Sorry, I'll come to you for the live in a second. Basically, I just think that Leicester City, if they keep on going the way they're going, I think that Leicester City will drop out the top 4. And I think that Chelsea are still too inconsistent to get that top 4. And I actually think that with the way that, if you look at the consistent teams right now, it looks like it's Wolves and Manchester United. So based on current form now, I would expect that Wolves and Manchester United will actually will be top 4. At least that's my opinion. I think Sheffield United could be in and around there, but I don't think they're as consistent enough, especially against the smaller teams compared to. Well, who? As in Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheffield United. I think I agree with you. So just before we move on to the next topic, Footy Live, who do you think will finish in the top 4?
Well, I'd say City and Liverpool have already run away with first and second place. Leicester are too inconsistent. You know, they had that massive spell where there was all the way at the top with Liverpool and that, but that was whenever you get a new manager in a club, you always have a new manager bound, should we say. Manchester United had it, Liverpool had it when Klopp first came in. You know, you always have
Arsenal didn't.
Well, that's Arsenal. Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. But no, when you look at it, I think Leicester are dropping off now. You know, I think most of the major players, I don't think they'll be in there in the summer. You know, they'll get picked up by European clubs, say your players like Maddison, Ndidi, Soyuncu, people like that. Teams will be looking at them. So I think Leicester will drop off. Chelsea, like you just said, I think are too inconsistent. You know, they need to get a run of games together. Say like Man United have. Man United go in a gutter, but all of a sudden since Bruno's arrived, just getting it together and everything, and getting results. You know, I don't think they've lost a game in 7. I think from what I heard, from what I looked at. So personally, like you said, I think Wolves are definitely climbing up there, beating a lot of the team. But I think Wolves are definitely under the radar. And you've got to think as well, Wolves have still got a second way of getting in. I think they're arguably definitely contenders to win the Europa League.
That's true. Yeah.
So if we're talking basic top 5, I'd have to go same with you. I think Man United and Wolves personally. I think Man United will claim the 3rd spot, but I think it'll go to one of the last days because I think United play Leicester on the last day, don't they?
They do, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be some last day shenanigans. Like you were saying with the title race last year, I think it'll be a bit similar with the top 4. But if I had to say 2 teams, I'd say Man United and Wolves.
And also, I think just as another shout out to Manchester United, out of all the teams there, actually have the superior goal difference. So that's obviously something that might come into play as well. Like if obviously teams are on the same number of points, United obviously have a superior goal difference, which is obviously a point in of itself, you know. So there we go. Anyway, we talked obviously about a lot to win the Premier League. I think the big news outside of obviously the Premier League over the weekend was El Clasico. And Barcelona with Lionel Messi, with Griezmann, and Martin Braithwaite were not actually able to beat.
Why did you put Martin Braithwaite? Oh wow!
He played, didn't he? You know, he played.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing is, I actually didn't know this. I didn't know that Real Madrid haven't won El Clasico at the Bernabeu against Barcelona since 2012. So, you know, I don't think anyone is expecting them to win this. And yet, and the first half, from what I can gather, was quite poor. And yet, you know, goals by Vinicius Jr., obviously. Real Madrid win and are coming top of the league ahead of Barcelona. So I think, first off, what do you guys think? And I think the second, which is about this, what does this mean for the Liga title race? And I think the second question, which is maybe more poignant question, is this almost a potential beginning of the end for Lionel Messi and Barcelona? So I want the first question addressed first. I'll start with Joshy first, and then we'll go around. So Joshy, go.
What was the question?
So basically, like, what does this mean for the La Liga title race, given obviously with El Clasico? And then, is this the beginning of the end for Messi and Barcelona? In a sense of like, Barcelona will continue to go downhill type of thing. So it's 2 questions.
Barca, I'm really prepared for the future. Like, I know.
Well, they've spent $500 million, 500 million in the last 3 years. So
but like on what? Like,
it's not gone anywhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for me, why Real Madrid, I think, are going to be more successful. I know Hazard is, whatever you want to say about him, Hazard still is very, very good.
What was that?
McDonald's worker.
Yeah, but you know, Hazard. They bought Hazard, and you know he hasn't played much this season. But when he does, you know he's played well. And they've got Vinicius, they've got Rodrigo there, they've got Valverde, who's unbelievable. Like seriously good midfielder. And so I think three of those were from the academy. Whereas Barcelona, I know they got that Ansu, what's his name?
Ansu Fati.
Good player, but way too young to be able to make that much of an impact. Obviously, they signed Young, which was fantastic signing. He's one of the best in his position. But elsewhere, I don't see who else is there as a backup in those positions. You've got an Asian Piqué, who Piqué's done. Busquets is done. Griezmann.
Busquets had a very bad game on Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm still surprised he's at the club.
Griezmann, I've always felt is overrated. Obviously, there's no Messi replacement. And there's just so many, like Jordi Alba's getting on. There's so many positions that I can see where there's no real backup. They have Longley, who for me is a bit of a fraud. Umtiti is, and there's just like, what do you see there? Like Real Madrid, I can see, 3 or 4, 5, 6 backups in what they have. They've still got Varane there, other players, and yeah, for me, so Real Madrid are better right now and set up for the future. Barcelona have relied on Messi like so much over the years, whereas I think if they don't sign Neymar in the summer, then they're done. They're done. I can't remember your second question, but I think I covered everything.
So it was essentially, I guess the second question is this essentially the beginning of the end for Barcelona?
I think so, honestly. Like I remember speaking to this guy on Instagram about so we had the sort of Spanish dominance. Then I guess you could say German dominant, well, a little bit. And then I guess you could say now English dominance, with City doing so well, and we've got quite a few teams in Champions League. They might not get through, but we've got quite a lot in there. Liverpool were the winners last year. I just think Barcelona are just completely outdated now, and Messi can only do so much. He's getting on now, and he can't save them any longer. He can't carry Catalonia on his back anymore. So honestly, I think Barcelona are it's going to take them a while to rebuild. But we shall see.
Fair enough. Fully live. What's your thoughts?
Well, similar to what Josh has just said, they've had so much money to spend, which for a club like Barcelona, with the history and what they've won and everything, and the ownership, it's not a lot of money. But you look at some of the players that they've spent it on over the last couple of years. You look at, say, Suarez. You look at Galbraith. What's his name? You just said
Braithwaite.
Braithwaite. That's it. Strange signings. Were it Choupo-Moting who they signed as well?
No, Choupo-Moting went to PSG.
Yeah, something like that. And decided that Ousmane Dembele and that.
Yeah. They signed Dembele.
Yeah, go on.
No, I was just saying, in terms of Barcelona signings, they signed obviously Griezmann, Dembele, De Jong. Obviously, Braithwaite was in. They also signed. Was Longley? Well, Longley was a signing, wasn't it, Josh?
Yeah, I can't remember where it's from though.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was from. So that was another one, and obviously Vidal was signed as well. Is there anyone else? I feel like I'm missing another big player that they signed, but I cannot remember for life of me. But yeah, they've spent quite a lot of money on those signs. Sorry, go on, Fully Live.
Like we said, they spent money on a lot of players and everything, but most of the players haven't worked out and everything. And they brought them at young ages. You look at, say, De Jong, what age they bought him at. You look at Dembele, what age they bought him at. They've spent mega money on players, but it's not always worked out. Whereas you look at teams like Liverpool, they've not spent a massive amount of money at time. They've just bought players 3-4 years before they're going to be, say, world stars and everything. I think it comes down mainly to recruitment of players. So you look at the recruitment of both teams. I think Real Madrid have a better youth academy set up than Barcelona. And that's where you're seeing a lot of their stars performing. Whereas you look at Barcelona. So if you had to say we like a transfer sort of battle between the two, I think Real Madrid's massively ahead of them. And you can clearly see that with the way it's showing on the pitch, because Barcelona have been off the pace for the last decade, I'd say, near enough. Because they're getting knocked out of the Champions League by teams.
Yeah.
not as good as him, shall we say. I know Liverpool played amazing the last season to turn it round down to the never spend. But you look at teams like that have gone out to in recent years, such as Roma and that, where they've been ahead, but they haven't been able to turn it around. And then the other teams just turned it round against them. So really, Real Madrid are looking a lot better for the future in terms of players that they've brought in. I think they've got a better manager. Because you look at Barcelona, Barcelona appointed somebody nobody had even heard of in Setien. When there was major managers out there, you look at people like Pochettino. Because there was rumours about Guardiola getting the sack at the time, so Guardiola was getting linked with going back to Barcelona. There was all these Allegri, major managers out there that could have signed somebody who was inexperienced and didn't have any real know-how to manage a club like Barcelona. So I think from top to bottom, they don't really know what they're doing, and it's clearly showing it on the pitch. And then you got to players like Messi and that. Messi, who's been around for centuries with Barcelona, he can't carry him anymore. You know, you look at the age. A lot of their attackers have aged on now. You look at Suarez. You look at when they had Neymar, but obviously left and everything. And when you look at Messi, they've got an aging squad. I don't think I think half the teams near enough over 30 when you put the best players in.
Yeah.
So they need to be buying a lot more younger players. But as I said before, when they've spent mega money on younger players like Dembele, it's not always worked out. So I think they need to properly look at who they're buying before they spend that amount of money on a certain player. Whereas you look at, say, Real Madrid, they looked at Hazard 4 or 5 years ago before they even signed him. Because there was links years ago when they were going to sign him for mega money. But I think a player like Hazard, with what he's done, with what he did at Chelsea and everything, where he won league titles, he won trophies and everything. He won the best trophy that there was to win in England, which was the Premier League, and I think he won it twice. And both times he was a top scorer in that team. So it's reasonable to spend over £100 million on a player like that. We look at Dembele when he was at Dortmund. What did he actually do? I don't think they won the league title. I don't think he won anything. So why would they spend millions of pounds? Yeah, over 100 mil. Why spend that on a player who's not had that winning mentality? Whereas you look at players say Liverpool have bought in recent years. They've not bought winners, but they've bought players who are going to be good in, say, 3-4 years' time. Like, look, say, when they bought Minamino, they bought him for peanuts, basically. 7.25 million worth or something. Yeah. You can see a player there in 3 or 4 years' time. So it's all about developing, it's all about project. I don't think Barcelona have the project. Whereas Real Madrid, they had a project before when they was winning the Champions League and everything. And now it's back to a rebuild phase. So, but I think Real Madrid are definitely ahead in terms of the two super heavyweights in Spanish football.
Agreed.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for input. Shawnee, just round us up. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's not. There's not much between them really. If you're looking at the table, I mean, so you've got 1 point. Barcelona winning more. They've just lost one more game, and Real Madrid have had a whole bunch of draws. So it's not like there's a mountain between them. You know, there's. I don't think that Barcelona are completely finished. They've had a better run in 5 games. You know, so you've had Barcelona winning 4 and losing 1, which was that Madrid loss. Where Madrid have won only 3 and drawn 1 and lost 1, you know. So it's not like there's like a huge difference between them. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have someone like Hazard over Messi, even at Messi's age, because once again I don't think he's going to be completely finished. Once again, it's judge him maybe at the end of the season. See where Barcelona are at the end of the season. If Madrid run away with it now, and all of a sudden there's a really bizarre run of bad form for Barcelona where they're just absolutely losing every single game, all right, you might have a look at them like, okay, what's gone wrong here? But there's not a massive amount wrong there at the moment. Okay, that's fair enough. It's not like, once again, it's that standard that Barcelona have set over the years, isn't it? So it's kind of like they've been right up there, either running away with it, or there's been like 2 or 3 points between them and Madrid. And that's just the standard those two clubs have been setting there. And it's just been a bit of a bizarre season that, you've got a team like Sevilla that's, 9 points behind them, So it's just, I don't know. If I was to round it up, I would just like say, look, it's just a point. They've won one more game than Madrid, and they've also had just one more loss. So like the difference is a win. Like that's the difference between them right now. It's not like it's like a mountain. I wouldn't be too concerned about Barcelona. They've got loads and loads of money backing them. They can just turn it around in the summer if they wanted to. It's true that they've spent $500 million, and it hasn't really gone anywhere. None of those players are particularly performing well. But if they want, they can just they can sell some of those players, get some new players in. They've got options. It's not like they're at the end of the rope. They'll be fine.
Fair enough. Always calm and composed, Sean. I love it. never reactionary. That's good. Okay, so moving on to our penultimate topic. So we're almost done the show. So Bundesliga troubles is the next topic. Bundesliga troubles. Now, I'm not sure whether everyone is aware of this man, Dietmar Hopp, who's basically the owner of Hoffenheim. But there seems to be there've been a lot of protests. So essentially, the background behind this, just to give a background, this event started where Hoffenheim were obviously playing Bayern Munich, and a lot of fans, a certain subsection of Bayern Munich fans, basically portrayed vulgar banners in targeting Dietmar Hopp, basically the owner of Hoffenheim. Now, what are these vulgar? Essentially, what happened is that the fans wouldn't stop, and then the match essentially was. Essentially, what happened is, although Bayern Munich were essentially 6 ahead and were battering Hoffenheim for the last 50 minutes or so, the match effectively was players stopped playing, and effectively they were just sort of kicking the ball between themselves like a training session, and that was that. And of course, the Bundesliga officials have said that tough action will be dealt with the people that were involved in this protest. Now, there was a similar protest Dortmund did earlier against Hoffenheim as well, and essentially the reason why these protests are happening is because the Hoffenheim owner, Dietmar Hopp, is basically a billionaire who basically pumped a lot of money into Hoffenheim to bring the club quickly through the divisions into the Bundesliga. And in Germany, unlike in this country, there is an emphasis on the fans having at least a 50% stake in the club. Okay, so there's much more emphasis on fan ownership of clubs. That's why Leipzig have gotten a bit of hate as well from RB, although I don't think it seems to be as bad as Leipzig, but they've gotten some stick as well. There's a lot of hatred towards them, but there is a lot of hatred towards this Hoffenheim owner because of what he's done, and they don't want this type of thing in the Bundesliga. Now, obviously, we don't unnecessarily understand that as people watch the Premier League, because all Premier League clubs are owned by billionaires who do this all the time. They're not owned by fans. But I want to know what your thoughts are, because this is very interesting. There's been a lot of sort of condemning by the media and stuff like the media and outlets and stuff like that. And obviously, the Bundesliga has said they condone what the fans have done. But the converse option is that because in the Bundesliga, they want the fans to be the heart of football, and fan ownership is very important. Is this them trying to sort of protest against the inevitability of the Bundesliga being like the Premier League, where they'll just get billionaires that will come in and just buy clubs, and sooner or later you get that sort of isolation between fans and the owners, which is what we have. Certainly, as a United fan, that's what you have. So I'm going to start with Josh again, and we'll take things from there. Josh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry with you. Yeah. So what do you think?
What was the question?
So what do you think about this? What's going on in the Bundesliga with this specific issue?
I didn't really see what was happening in the Bayern and Hoffenheim game. I think obviously I didn't really understand because Bayern, it's not like they take the best players from like every season from everybody else. So I don't really understand how they're having to go Hoffenheim.
The issue is that it's about essentially it's about fan ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So although you're right, the fans still own quite a substantial amount of Bayern Munich technically in terms of shares. So the Hoffenheim owner owns the majority share of Hoffenheim, and so essentially the Bayern fans, Dortmund fans, or Bundesliga fans, they're not happy with the fact that you have someone who owns the majority of a club. So it seems to go against culturally. So that's basically what they're protesting about, which, like I said, is not what we have in the Premier League. Because in the Premier League, most Premier League clubs nowadays are owned by multimillionaires, billionaires, and there's no fan ownership whatsoever. But the consequence of that is that you clearly have a divide between the fans and the owners. So like we have in Manchester United, for example. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Shawnee, what do you think?
Yeah. So once again, German football is not completely alien to this concept. I think what set this one in particular apart is the amount of disruption that happened during the game. So like the fans in the Bundesliga have always been very outspoken about this kind of thing, and obviously the Dietmar Hopp, who's really incredibly wealthy. I think he's been at Forbes magazine a whole bunch of times. I think his net worth is like 12.4 billion. And he's not just going to give away that 12.4 billion. It's he's going to want something back no matter what. And so investing in a football club is something that people do, and he's done them a lot of good. But I think what set this apart from all of the other banner waving and flares going off and like maybe chanting and things like that, the normal kind of fighting that the German football fans do, is just that there was just a disruption to the extent where I think there was a delay in the game, if I'm not mistaken, to the extent where there was like a protocol in the stadium of that had to like sort of take place before they could resume the game. So like I think that was sort of what set it apart. So it was just a harsher fight back from the fans compared to what it normally is, and it's something that we're kind of seeing here in the Premiership as well. I think the owners of Manchester United have kind of got the gist that like, okay, we really can't do this. We need to give a little bit of money, so that we can build a team, and we can not just build the teams for our own financial gain, but also so we keep the fans happy, who are essentially bringing all the money in for us. So it's something. It's not something that's completely alien. I think just the reason why this was maybe a standout incident was because how big or the extent that the fans went through to make their feelings being felt, which from time to time it does happen. I don't think it will continue happening. It's not going to get blown out of proportion in any way, but fans want to be heard, and if this is the only way that they get heard, then it'll be the German fans that do it. They're very, very outspoken about that sort of stuff. They're very vocal in the German newspapers, radio stations, everything like that. So it was very, very well known before the game as well, that something like this was going to happen, but that it actually brought a halt to the game. It was maybe not anticipated by many.
Fair enough. Footy Live, do you want to chime in on this? Footy Live, you there? Can you hear us? Okay, can't hear you. Okay, we'll bring you in a second. So yeah, I guess I'll just end it here because there's not really much else for you to talk about it because I didn't really want to talk much for the Bundesliga. No one wants to talk about Bayern Munich beating Hoffenheim 6-0 or the title race, So, but I just thought this was interesting just because it's almost like because there's a part of me that wants that type of culture in England, in a sense that the idea that fans own 50% of a club and are involved and get a say, and it feels like you're actually invested in the club. And there's a reason why Bundesliga, for example, ticket prices for fans are reasonable. Whereas you look at ticket prices in the UK for certain things, and you're like, this is ridiculous. So I generally do think that I'd love it if there was something in the Premier League structure which said that no owner can only own 50% maximum shares of the club, and the rest has to go to the fans and the community. Because obviously it's the fans and the community that make the club what it is. But unfortunately, I think there's so much money in the sport now that there's nothing that you can do. Philly Live, you're back. What's your thoughts on this? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. What's your thoughts? Go for it.
I haven't heard too much about it or anything. But from what I watched when I watched the Bundesliga highlights and everything, I just saw a load of people with banners and everything, and you just saw major chanting, flares being set off and everything. But one thing with the Bundesliga and a lot of other leagues around Europe and everything, it's completely different to, say, the Premier League. Premier League, you don't have fans setting flares off and everything. You have people protesting against owners and that, yeah, that's fine. But when another club's fans are going on about another club's owner, that's when something else needs to happen, and that's when the Bundesliga come in and take action, just like the Premier League or the FA would if it was in England. But when you look at it with Hoffenheim, as a club, they've had some decent players. Look at some of the players that's come out there and favoured on their careers. Look at, say, Firmino. If you look at manager, you look at Nagelsmann, what he's doing now with Leipzig. And I think a lot of Hoffenheim fans were a bit furious when Nagelsmann actually jumped ship and he went to Leipzig, and they blamed that on the owner for not wanting to keep him on. But
these weren't the Hoffenheim fans though that were doing this. These were the Bayern Munich fans. That's what was weird about it. It was because obviously Bayern were playing Hoffenheim, and it was the Bayern Munich fans that were setting the flares and causing disruption against Hoffenheim, which is why the head director of Bayern immediately came out and apologized. And I think this is him, if you see the picture next to him, or at least one of the sports. I think it's a sporting director anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it's the Hoffenheim fan. I'm sure there's some Hoffenheim fans that are disgruntled with him, but I think, yeah. Sorry, go on. But I think it's more the other fans of the Bundesliga teams that seem to be doing more of the vocal protestings when Hoffenheim come, if that makes any sense. So, but go on.
Yeah, well, when you look at it, you look at a club like Bayern Munich. They're the, should we say, the Liverpool of the Bundesliga at the moment. And they have been for the last couple of years. But you look at teams like Dortmund and that who are catching up to them with some additions that they made. But when a major club like Bayern Munich, I think, as a club, that it's disgraceful. You look at what they've done as a club, how they've built it up and everything, and then stuff like that goes on. It's the same thing with racism in football. Whenever it happens like it happened with the England players against Bulgaria, it was a disgrace against Bulgarian football. But how can, say, England disgrace against it when it actually happens in our own country? And it's only the same thing when fans take actions into their own hands. You look at, say, what happened with Ed Woodward when there was major protests with Manchester United. They went and attacked the man's home.
Yeah,
it's not a nice thing to have happen to you. That's like, say, me coming over to your house and lighting flares off in front of your house. The man's got kids. The man's got a family. You know, you might hate him for what he does and everything, but he's got to earn a living somehow. And it's exactly the same thing with the Hoffenheim owner. But the thing that's disgraceful is it wasn't actually the Hoffenheim fans who were doing it. It was the Bayern
fans. Yes, exactly. I'll just shout out to Don Ragnar and Georgia B in the comments. Thanks for joining us in the stream. So we're on our penultimate topic. Georgia B actually says, wouldn't financial fair play rules limit such billionaire owner investments anyway? And FFP limits total investment no matter where it's coming from. I'll address that comment in a second. And then Don Ragnar says, what's the issue in the German league? I'm late to the live stream. So let me I'll answer both those questions quickly, because when I quickly move on to actually preview the upcoming game week 29, because that's gonna take a bit of time, and then we'll wrap it up. So to quickly answer those questions, so to summarize for Don Ragnar, essentially there's been protests in the Bundesliga against Dietmar Hopp, owner of Hoffenheim, who basically has the majority share in Hoffenheim. And in the German Bundesliga, most clubs are, at least 50% of them are fan-owned. And there is a general dislike of the fact that when an owner basically owns majority share in a club, and they're sort of angry against that. Leipzig have a similar issue as well. And essentially, the fans protested, the Bayern Munich fans protested in the weekend, setting flares, vulgar banners, etc. And the game had to be stopped. Or at least the last 50 minutes was played with kick-me-ups. And it was a stain on Bundesliga football. To answer Georgia B's quick question, wouldn't financial fair play limit such billionaire-owned investments anyway? That is true, but it's what I obviously said in the previous thing. The issue is not necessarily with the owner making the investment. The issue is specifically in Bundesliga football. Unlike, say, the Premier League, there is a big emphasis on fan ownership, fans owning shares of clubs. And so, when there's a very, essentially what I'm understanding from this idea is that people don't like, or German fans don't like, billionaires, millionaires just buying up and just owning clubs. They don't like that. That's not the culture. The culture is 50% fan ownership, 50% millionaire, billionaire, whatever, so, and that's how it works, so if you now have someone who owns like for example, it'd be no different if like the Man City Sheikh, for example, decided to buy, let's say, Mainz. If the Man City Sheikh decided to buy Mainz and all of it, and bought all the shares, then suddenly Mainz would be hated. That's what from what I understand of the situation. So that's a brief summary of what's going on, and hopefully they resolve it. Anyway, we'll put that issue to aside because we're coming to the last segment. There's probably going to be a bit discussed about it, and that's basically the game week 29 preview. Obviously, a lot of big Premier League fixtures coming our way, and a lot. I would argue a lot to actually discuss and debate. We'll start with Shawnee first because obviously Liverpool are playing first at 12:30. Liverpool at home to Bournemouth. We expect a routine win from Liverpool, or do we? What do you think, Sean? What's your predictions and why?
Yeah, first of all, I'm expecting a response to the loss. It was an away fixture. There was a lot of away fans there, which once again we were singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" towards the end of that 3-0 defeat. Just shows the passion. Or, well, maybe just the heart of the Liverpool fans still cheering their team on, even though we're 3-0 down. So just a response to see a Liverpool team that is coming out the gates fighting right from the word go, back to our best, just chasing down every ball like a pack of wild dogs. Getting it out of everybody, pressing them nice and high up the field, keeping them back in their half, and it's just a good response because Bournemouth, let's face it, they're not the best team in the Premiership. If you're looking for a response after that,
they're fighting they're fighting against relegation though. So they're gonna be fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely gonna be fighting, and even though I think it's gonna be tough. I don't think we're going to blow them away by any stretch of the imagination, but just get back to winning ways. Just start again, And I think Bournemouth, they might creep a goal in somewhere. I don't think Liverpool are gonna, score like 1,000 goals. I'm just gonna go with a 2-1.
2-1. Okay, fair enough. 2-1 to right. What we'll do is we'll go instead of everyone. Unless does anyone have anything to add to that, or we'll just move on to the next match. 2-1. Fully live.
No, I said move on. Oh, you want us to give our predictions too?
No. I'm saying if anyone else has anything they want to add to what Sean said, or move on to the next one. No,
I don't feel so. Liverpool obviously going to win.
Okay, fair enough. So we expect a convincing win for Liverpool. Okay. To Josh, because obviously you're the Arsenal fan. Arsenal at home to West Ham United. Is this going to be a routine win for Arsenal, or do you think this might be a bit of a struggle?
Well, I mean, when we were under Ljungberg, we said we didn't win away from home, and we won 3-0 against West Ham. I know they're a bit rejuvenated, but I think we're going to beat them back to back this year. And Arsenal got a little bit of a point to prove, I would say. A little bit after just what happened in Europe. I think they just need to focus on winning. Like, no more draws, no more losing. Just focus on giving it your all as well. Because that Olympiacos game they didn't. I would like to see Pablo Mari play in the Premier League as well. He looks absolutely quality. So yeah, but I think it's going to be the same as the reverse fixture 3-1.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Okay, 3-1. Okay, anyone else have anything to add to that? So, I mean, one thing I would say about that is that obviously Olympiacos obviously beat Arsenal at home. I think West Ham, as you said, do look a bit rejuvenated. And I think that the Antonio guy, can cause them a few problems. And I think again, I'm interested to see what actual team Arteta actually picks, just because I just think that this troll trying to shoehorn Aubameyang and Lacazette, in the same team, and possibly a Pepe doesn't seem to be working. So I'm curious to see what he'll pick. The only thing that I don't think Lacazette and Aubameyang can basically play together. I just don't think it will work.
I agree.
Georgia B says, if I were Klopp, I'd concentrate on Champions League. Prem is sewn up. I would agree with that as well. I think that's probably where they should go. Fully live. Next game. Come on, no, United's not the United game, but Crystal Palace at home to Watford. What do you think? Oh, Fully live, you there? Can you hear us? And he's gone. Okay. Okay. Sean, back to you, Sean. Well, I haven't actually given mine thing yet. I'll give mine actually. So Crystal Palace versus Watford. Okay. Crystal Palace versus Watford. Oh man.
They played quite well against Brighton. I actually watched the game. And Crystal Palace surprised me at how well they played against Brighton, because Brighton aren't like a rollover team. And Palace they looked quite strong. Even there was a couple of times where I was thinking to myself, is that the Benteke that I know? Is that a different Benteke? Because he just looked like a footballer. He looked like he could play football. He was controlling the ball. He got an assist, I think, for Ayew. I was just thinking to myself, damn, he's looking all right. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of want Watford to go and win this one. If I know that I'm talking over your game, just purely because, just so it's not like a fluke that they just went and beat Liverpool, that they can also go and damage other teams as well. If Watford gets smashed by Crystal Palace, you're just going to be looking at that like, what? Sorry to take that. You can carry on.
No. You go for it. You go for it, man. You go for it.
Yeah, so I really would like to see Watford come away with a win, because it would sort of then justify them beating Liverpool, if that makes sense. But I got to admit, was very, very surprised by Crystal Palace. They played a really good game. They haven't been in the best of form, but the game against Brighton, really, really well played. So fair play to them. So yeah. I'll
Fair
leave it
enough.
to you.
So what will be your score prediction for this Crystal Palace Watford game then?
I'm going to go tight for both of them. I'll say 2-2.
2-2. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yep, can you hear, buddy? Okay. So now you're back. Sheffield United at home to Norwich, mate. What do you think?
Well, look at Norwich are a bit adrift at the moment, and they're not exactly the best team away from home. And going to a place like Sheffield United, where it's been a lot hard for a lot of the bigger teams this season. You know, Man United drew that. Liverpool only won by 1 goal, and City struggled there. When they actually played, they're a hard team to break down. Sheffield United, what Chris Wilde was when he sets them up and everything. And I don't think Norwich have the players to actually cause problems for Sheffield United. With the way they've defended and with the man they've got between the sticks with Dean Henderson and the way he's played for them. You've got
future England #1.
Pardon?
Future England #1, Dean Henderson.
I would say so.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I
mean, arguably on his form right now, he should. Well, I don't know.
Will players like Cantwell and Aarons be on Premiership teams next season?
You think
probably,
so?
yeah. You look at
Yeah.
You'd look at say teams like Villa and that as well. We say Grealish and that. Too good of players to play in the Championship.
Obviously, United being linked with Grealish potentially, but anyway, go on.
But like I was saying, I think Sheffield United have too much for a struggling Norwich team at the moment. So I'd probably go for a comfortable 3-0 win for Sheffield United.
3-0. Okay, fair enough. Okay, I mean, bear in mind, Norwich did obviously beat Leicester City last week, so which was a fearful. I mean, Norwich have, had a few big wins over the season. So, but yeah, I think I agree with. I think Sheffield United will probably win, but I wouldn't be. It's weird. I wouldn't be surprised if Norwich did win. Though that's the strange thing. I just think that they're the type of team that have the. Sorry. So say that again, Philly Live. Oh, you got it. All right. I know if it's you said that because they were at home. Yeah, they were at home. Definitely, I agree, and I think that obviously makes a difference. So, but I just don't know whether given obviously it's like with any results, any positive result can potentially build momentum, and obviously Norwich will know. Especially bear in mind they're not that far off from getting out of the bottom three. That if they do get something from Sheffield United, then that can potentially kick their sort of survival campaign, if that makes any sense. Don Ragnar does also say that Timo Pukki Pie is not on form for Norwich anymore. No, he's not. But he does happen to have some good players around him, semi-decent players around him that seem to be helping him out anyway. Back to Josh, actually. Southampton are home to Newcastle. What do you think?
Honestly, Newcastle, I think they just went through in the FA Cup just there.
Yeah, they've gone through, actually, which I think is the first they've been through under Mike Ashley's tenure, someone said. They've never been to this round.
Bruce, Stevie Bruce. How many Newcastle fans were saying at the start of the season,
they wanted them gone, but people have forgotten about Rafa. It shows how fickle football fans are, because everyone's saying Rafa's amazing and awesome, and now no one's really speaking about Rafa at all. So there you go. But go on.
Well, basically, I'm not in these prediction videos. I'm not giving Southampton any more wins because I captained Danny Ings the other week and he didn't do anything for me. So I'm betting against him every time now. This will be a good game. Obviously, Newcastle are okay at home, but I feel like there's something about them away which gives them fight. I think there was that one against, was it Chelsea? Where they got 2 goals in injury time?
Yeah.
2-2. And I was like, wow, okay.
No, that was
Everton, sorry. Yeah.
That was against Everton. Yeah, although they did beat Chelsea at St. James's Park 1-0, remember, with that sort of snatch and grab goal.
Yeah. So, Newcastle, it's hard to give a prediction on them because they're just so unpredictable. They'll either concede loads like they did against Arsenal and United, or or they won't concede much at all. They're good sort of picks for the Newcastle defenders. They're good picks for Premier League fantasy football if you don't have them already, because they tend to get a lot of clean sheets. But yeah, I think this could be. Personally, I think this could be like a 1-0 Newcastle. Southampton have been scoring a lot of goals recently, but the teams that they kind of, I know it sounds weird that they quote unquote should beat, if that makes sense, they don't seem to, or it's a draw. So I think Newcastle are going to have this one low scoring 1-0 game. But yeah.
Well, you get a better whichever team's in 10th place better get themselves into gear, because they'll only be 2 points behind that team if they win. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, I think Arsenal. Yeah, that was if anyone can hear the stream, that was a dig at Arsenal from the Liverpool fan. That's just the customary one. I mean, we actually have less losses than Liverpool in 2020. But anyway, back to your original question.
Undefeated in 2020 until
no, not anymore. Yeah.
So they have the same losses as Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's just banter, really, isn't it?
But anyway, so 1-0 Newcastle for me. St. Maximus is starting to really play well now. So yeah, he's an important player for Newcastle.
Okay, moving on. Okay, so this is obviously an interesting one. Should be Wolves versus Wolves at home to Brighton.
Ooh.
Wolves home to Brighton. So sorry, Shmuti Live, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can do if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, well, like I said before about Wolves, I think they're a team who have definitely been underestimated. We say what they did last season. Most people thought last season, coming straight up from Championship, they'd be, straight back down. But whereas with some of the players that they've actually brought in, say Jimenez and Jota and that, they've actually hit the ground running. And they've got a lot of Portuguese players, which always helps, because if you've got teams full of the same nationality, so it's most likely going to work in that. And with some of the players that Wolves have, and with how they play at Molineux, I don't think Brighton will be able to cause too many problems with the way they play. Because Wolves like to be on the front foot, get the crowd behind, and then as soon as they get the first goal, really just run away with it. And that's the problem with teams like Wolves. They're a hard team to break down. Like I said with Sheffield United, when you go to their place, it's a lot harder than them coming to you. So if I had to put a scoreline, I'd say about 1.
Yeah. So what? So 1-0 to Wolves.
I said 4-1.
Oh, 4-1. Sorry, I didn't hear that. Sorry, my bad.
Honestly, I agree with that. Wolves is Jota is playing like he did last season now. And he looks unstoppable. They're putting many 3-4 goals past teams now. So yeah, I agree with that one, bro.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Okay, Shawnee, this has been an interesting one. Burnley at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Burnley at home to Spurs. With obviously Mourinho losing dramatically to Wolves and Tottenham where they are. This is kind of like a make or break for Spurs. How do you see this turning out? Yeah.
So first of all, over the last 5 games, a little better from Spurs. Because they had the 3 wins and unfortunately then the 2 losses. So it is, they are going all out to get them wins. So they're not settling for the draw. In fact, you can see that they'd rather lose than get a draw. So they're just going all out, which is strange from a Mourinho team, really. So yeah, you'd think that people will start getting on the backs of the owners and maybe even the manager at Tottenham if they lose a 3rd game in a row. It's it's going to be an important game for this one. I don't think you can afford to lose this one, even if they have to draw. And it doesn't. It looks like at the minute they either win or lose. So, but Burnley, definitely not a team to be messed with or underestimated. You know, they're a team that battles right to the very last minute. Tough one to call. I would think that even with Son being out, that Tottenham just have to go with a 2-1, a 1-2 away win for Tottenham.
Okay.
So Burnley 1, Tottenham 2.
Burnley 1, Tottenham 2. Okay, fair enough.
Really, man?
Oh, someone disagrees. Pretty Live, you disagree with that? Hello? Oh, can you hear me? Pretty Live? Shawnee, Josh, you there?
Yeah, I'm here still.
Okay, still here. Okay, fine. Right. Okay. Okay. So let's move on then. Okay. So Chelsea versus Everton. Shawnee, you actually, well, you actually didn't talk. So Pretty Live, you there? Josh, you there? All right, both disappeared. Okay, fine.
My mic was muted. Sorry.
I didn't mute your mic. Okay, right. Okay. I'll say Joshy, Chelsea versus Everton. Chelsea versus Everton.
Good game. It's a good game. It's
Filthy blue noses.
Chelsea. They lost to Bayern Munich. I forgot the game that they played after that. It was a draw against Bournemouth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, not Bournemouth. Yeah, it was Bournemouth. 2-2.
Yeah,
Marcus Alonso double.
Yeah.
But the people who randomly put him in their fantasy football team would have been buzzing it.
He seems to be the only
one.
one.
Oh yeah, just why not? I'll put Marcus Alonso in.
Yeah, why? Yeah,
why not?
For some random reason.
He seems to be the only one that's scoring Chelsea goals, though, which is the only thing, obviously.
Well, I mean, apart from today.
Yeah.
But, I mean, their team, honestly, like, I know Kante's not there, but the team they played today, they need to play that team again because they look so good together, like every single person, that they just gel. I would like to see Barkley play a bit more. I know people say he's a fraud and stuff, but I've always liked Ross Barkley. Put him in a midfield where there's no, like, completely similar players, if that makes sense. I think he does well because there's a lot of similar midfielders in England. But the midfield today, like, suited him perfectly, and he played fantastic. Got himself a goal as well. So for me, I think Everton seems to always score. Calvert-Lewin is on an insane scoring streak. What has he scored in his last 5?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous like that. So I think there's going to be a draw. Like, Chelsea haven't been winning a lot recently. I think this is going to be a draw. I don't think they have enough to beat Everton, honestly. So, yeah, I'll go draw. 2-2 draw.
Okay, 2-2 draw. Okay, fair enough. And then finally, Manchester United versus Manchester City. Which is, well, there's another game, there's Leicester City versus Aston Villa. So we'll come to that in a second. But Manchester United versus Manchester City. Manchester United obviously at home. We don't really have a good home record against City. I think we've lost the last 2 or 3, I think, against City. Well, it must be nasty more, maybe 3 or 4 even against City. Although we have beaten them quite a few times at the Etihad, which is weird. It's very strange, you know. So we beat them. It wasn't last season; it was the season before, I think, at the Etihad with Pogba's brace. And then this season, Solskjaer went and beat them at the Etihad as well. So it's very, very strange. Very strange. But how do I see this going? A lot of it will just depend on how Solskjaer plays. If Solskjaer, there's a lot of talk because Pogba's back training this week, and potentially Pogba might actually be involved in the City game. The difficulty is, like, with essentially you've got all our midfielders back now. You've got Pogba, you've got McTominay, you've got Fred, you've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Matic. And how do you play all those midfielders? Who plays?
Yeah.
How does it work? You know, so because clearly a lot of people want to, like, if Pogba's fit to play, then he's that good that you can't not play him. Conversely, Fred, Matic, and Bruno Fernandes have been quite a solid midfield three for the last couple of games, and effectively have been undefeated because we haven't lost since we lost to Burnley, I think it was, at home. So it will depend on that. I do think that United, if we play the way that we play in I think we can actually beat Manchester City. I think partly because I suspect, this is a theory, that Manchester City, looking ahead for the Champions League title they'll have to play, may potentially put a slightly weakened side, maybe a bit of rotation, just because the league's over, they've got nothing to play from. They're a solid second, so really their emphasis is going to be in the Champions League, and so potentially they might put a change side, and Manchester United might be able to capitalize on that because Solskjaer will put a strong side against City. I'm going to say 2-1 to Manchester United, being optimistic. Does anyone have any issues with that?
That would be great. Thank you. I mean, that would do if that was to happen. That would just I mean, like I say, the more losses for Man City, the better, really, because that means we can just get that Premiership wrapped up sooner rather than later. But yeah, it's just City can turn up still. That's the only thing. But yeah, we'll see.
I'm just sorry, it's pretty live here today because he's a United fan. Pretty live, can you hear me? What are your thoughts on the City United game?
Personally, I think it'd be a close game considering both sides have had some decent results recently. City have obviously fight back after what's been a bit of a disappointing season for them, really, and that ban sums it up for them, really. And I think all we need to do now is just concentrate on getting their Champions League place secured. So, but if push comes to shove, they get it overturned, then they can obviously play in the Champions League next year. But if talking in terms of Man United, it's crucial with the games that they've got coming up. We've played Everton, we've drew, we'll have played City, we'll play Tottenham, and then we've got to play Sheffield United. So playing teams that are in this top four race with us. But a crucial thing in terms of if you're fighting for a title or you're fighting for top four relegation, whatever, don't let your rivals gain 3 points on you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you draw a game, it's not as bad as losing a game. You're still gaining points and you're still in with a chance. So, but with the way both teams set up, there's major injuries for both sides. I think there's just some curse that Manchester City have over Man United at the moment, where they can always beat us at Old Trafford, but they can't beat us at their own stadium. It's just a curse that's just can't be lifted. If there's one man to lift it, I'd say it's Bruno. With the way he's been playing, he needs to be told a lot. So, and I've gone again, haven't I?
No, you're still
You're good.
Well, now you've got right. Okay. Anyway, but that's fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So we will see. We will see. And for those who are watching, I may actually be going to Manchester this weekend to actually see that game. So stay tuned for some vlog related stuff later to that. Lastly, and Sean, if you can wrap it around us off, or let me know what your score predictions are in the comments. By the way, guys, in the comments, and also like the video, subscribe to Red Devil Studio, and post in the comments as soon as the video is over. But yeah, let me know, Shawnee. Leicester City at home to Aston Villa. An interesting encounter. So with obviously Villa needing to really are fighting obviously for it, and Leicester City cannot afford to lose another game, quite frankly. So
to be completely honest, both teams just in full relegation form. I mean, Leicester City just 1 win and 4, 1 win and 5. Sorry, exactly the same as Villa, just 1 win and 5. It's just that Leicester City have had a few more draws. I mean, it's both teams. It's actually strangely evenly matched because both teams are just awful at the minute. You would think that I've just had a quick look, and it looks like Ndidi might be back for this game.
Okay.
So, if that was to be the case, that might be the difference between the two teams. If not, it could just be anybody's game. I'm just going to go with a draw, high scoring game. Well, high scoring game ish. I'm just going to go with 2-2. That Villa score 2 goals and Leicester score 2 goals, just because it seems like their forms are quite similar. So it might be a strange score prediction, considering it's Leicester City that's at home. But even the home form hasn't been great, really, Leicester City's. So obviously Aston Villa's form just hasn't been great away or at home. So, yeah, I'm just going to go with a draw 2-2, an exciting 2-2, though, because it seems like their forms are very, very similar.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Right. Okay. So I think lastly, before we wrap up, and thanks to everyone who's been listening and watching, by the way, and shout out to everyone in the comments who's got involved. Lastly, just going round to everyone, what are your top 3 fantasy football picks that you feel that need to be in your fantasy football team come the weekend? Who do you think needs to be in the fantasy football? Josh, will start your quick 3.
Let me just pull up the what do you want to call it real quick.
Okay.
So for me, I think it is good to have Sa.
Okay.
Like I think before he was injured, he was on like an incredible streak. If he wasn't scoring, he was getting assists. So like it was sort of guaranteed points. If you look back on his previous game week points, you'll see that as well. So I think him or Decore. So that's kind of cheating. That's 2 picks in 1, but it's basically one of those Watford midfielders. I also think Jimenez. He's another one. If he doesn't score, even though he mostly does, he'll be involved in the goal. He'll get an assist or something. And this isn't really like a wild card pick, but Doherty, because he is still quite cheap, surprisingly. But he's a beast. Like, he was on my bench, unfortunately. Bloody Trent, the filthy mudblood, didn't do anything for me. So Doherty just sitting on the bench for 12 points or whatever it was. I was gutted. So he's my sort of, you could say, wild card.
Okay, Shawnee, what do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to mention that filthy forward for Everton, which is young Lewin, who he's not the most expensive striker. Yeah, definitely. And because Aguero, Firmino, and some of the big strikers, the big boy strikers, are not really doing the business at the minute, I think he's just a good shout to have in your team. So yeah, there are a lot of Wolves players coming into contention now. Neto is he's picked up points here and there, but just over the last sort of 3 or 4 games, he's just racking points up. And this is just a feeling, but for some reason I don't know why, but I think Mahrez, who doesn't play very often, is going to force Pep's hand because of obviously you've got what's his name out now, so more than likely he's going to have to just play him for a quite considerable amount of time. And he's a quality player. He can get assists and he can get goals. So I'd maybe go with them 3.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, and lastly, and I'll pick and when end the podcast. It's a difficult one. Pick. Who am I? Well, obviously, as a United fan, I've got the bias. I do think Bruno Fernandes is obviously a good steal. He's a bit expensive, but I think that you can see that Bruno Fernandes he's in every sort of game he's played, he's been involved in some capacity, whether that's been by 1 or 2 assists, whether that's been a goal. He looks like he is Manchester United's designated penalty taker now and has scored 2 out of 2 so far. He is a leader. He's doing so. If United are going to get anything against City, even if they lose, it will be through Bruno Fernandes. So I think Bruno Fernandes, if you can afford him at 8, he is one of those. In terms of the top midfielders, he's certainly one of the cheaper midfielders right now to get compared to like and especially when you look at like Mane and Salah not really ticking. If you wanted to get a Mane and Salah out, one of the cheaper midfielders to spend more, save more of your money for something else, so then possibly a Bruno Fernandes is a good shout, in my opinion.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. I think after that, I would also echo with Doherty as a defender. I think that's a very, very good shout as well. And then I think lastly, from point of view, I think, and it's just another thing, would just probably be to get Fleck for the Sheffield United midfielder, just because he is very, very cheap. And Sheffield United obviously do have, you could argue, a relatively easy game against Norwich at home. So if you wanted the sort of a wild card who has sort of had his hand in a few goals, Fleck, one of the Sheffield United midfielders, would be sort of would be my wild card in that respect. Cool. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. It's been a long podcast. We had a lot to talk about, but thank you everyone for being with us. Until we see you guys next week, have a nice evening, guys, and cheers. Ending the podcast now.
Cheers.